In this video, I'm going to take you through my 4 exam day predictions for the ACCA SBL examination ahead of the December 2025 sitting for the case study based on Levwell Plc. My name is James, and if you'd like access to my exclusive SBL notes that you can see above me that have helped students out around the world to pass their examination, click the link in the description of this video and you can download a copy yourself to follow through the video. I'm also delighted to say I'm associated and affiliated with Astranti. They offer mock examinations that are actually based on the Levwell PLC case study itself, and they offer pre-seen packs that are definitely going to be the difference in getting you the 50 plus. So again, if you want to check those out, click the link in the description of this video. And for pure transparency, as always, if you were to purchase anything, I'd be entitled to a small percentage which goes to supporting the channel. So as always, a massive thank you. Leave me any questions. How are you getting on going through the pre-seen materials? I will get back to you. And I'm delighted to say as well, the notes are available now. As you can see on here, they are very extensive, takes you through absolutely everything, and that is why my exam day prediction number 1 is always usually based on some of the SBL models itself, and I try to usually pick one of 3, which is usually either SWOT, PESTLE or Porter's 5 forces. However, when you go through the pre-seen materials and notes, they're all sort of going, oh, it could be this one, it could be that one. So for the video, I've decided to go sort of gold, silver and bronze on this one. Starting off with the most likely, I think SWOT analysis has a really good chance of coming up. I'd really take yourself down to page 6 in the notes where I've broken down a few areas that you can see on the screen just above me now, where we've got some of the strengths, like they've been established for over 40 years, increasing revenues and stable operating profits, which I'll show you in a second. Weaknesses I've got down as that they've actually had 2 hotels closing, high staff turnover, but opportunities are throughout the pre-seen materials. You'll see them highlighted in my notes on there. Possible global expansion, they've got yield management software they could invest in, and other sources of potential income. Threats include the loss of staff, actually competition taking more market share from them, and the threat of new business models such as like Airbnb actually overtaking. So again, check it out going through. There's plenty of information and notes I've put on, but definitely I'd say linking into some of the KPIs at the bottom with the revenue increasing, slightly increasing operating profit margins. Those would be things I'd be talking about in a SWOT analysis. I would say if we're going for a silver medal now, I think it has to be PESTLE, especially because of the amount of technology points throughout the pre-seen materials. If you've downloaded a copy of the notes, if you head to page 1 that you can see on the screen, politically wise, there doesn't appear to be too much given, no sort of government intervention or political issues, but I'd say that Estland appears to be a stable country. Economically wise, check out page 5 where they've had a downturn in the recent years, higher interest rates and volatility in the global market. Social wise, linking to employees, again coming back to that employee turnover being particularly high, there weren't any trade unions mentioned, and the value statements are in linking to staff later on in the pre-seen materials. Technology, as I touched on, plenty of things relating to the information systems. We've had bits about apps, data risks, so plenty to talk about there, along with the environment, that there's no director accountable for this particular area, and other aspects in terms of the risk register. The environment wasn't actually mentioned, so something definitely to raise there. With lastly, the legal factors of potential lawsuits. We've been told about non-compliance, fines, data breaches, and the industry body is also mentioned on page 7. So get those down for PESTLE. With last but by no means least, the bronze medal for Porter's 5 forces, if you have a look on page 2 on the right-hand side now. So we've got competitive rivalry, so it's a sort of monopolistic competition sort of setup. We've got lots of firms in the market, differentiated hotels, and limited market power. There's no one real big dominant player. Supplier power, so very competitive environment, as I said. The risks are highlighted on page 12 that I would definitely refer to, but it's just having that picture. There are lots of small firms and hotels. We have buyer power, limited information, but it's key to note down the price sensitivity of the guests. Threat of substitution on there. Consumers are actually looking, or should I say guests are looking to go to competitors, a lot of rivalry in the market, with last but no by means no least, threat of new entry, new business models out there such as home sharing. They've referred to the likes of Airbnb. Well, they don't mention Airbnb, but it basically is Airbnb. Home sharing on page 5 that you could look at as a threat of a new entry, and of course new hotels being put up. So that is my exam prediction number 1. Very hard to pick between all 3 of them, but I would definitely make sure you are revised in those key areas. I could definitely see one of the 3 coming up. Exam day prediction number 2 now is coming on to actually risk management, which we can see further on down in the preceding note. So you should head down to area number 12 now. Area number 12, actually page number 12. This is where up at the top we're given a nice breakdown in terms of the different risk areas. I touched on earlier that sustainability wasn't included in there, so definitely something you should mention. And the things why I think this could potentially come up is we actually have the TARA model in the SBL syllabus. You can see it up at the top, which is all about a structured approach for managing the risks by classifying them into 4 categories. So can we transfer the risk? Can we avoid the risk? Can we reduce it? Or can we accept it? We're given a nice summary of everything from competition to pricing, reputation, people, technology, and data. And again, that links into those areas we've just touched on about pestle, SWOT analysis on there. But I think it could link into other areas, such as potentially them maybe losing their 4-star status. Could some of the risks be associated with that? Because we're given the criteria of what makes a 3-star hotel, a 4 and a 5. It also links into the people factor of the staff turnover percentage on page 13. That is a massive key thing for the industry, that the customer experience is pivotal to the success of a hotel. And you can see on there for technology about the security, the performance. I've got on here scenarios of such like, what if the website went down? What if they got hacked? We're also talking about the pricing. They always highlight about the leisure guests being more price sensitive on there. Competition from other hotels, and the home sharing on page 5. There is plenty to talk about, and I think there could be some other areas actually allocated on the exam day with more details about the risks, and you've got to be able to link it back to those 6 key areas that you can see on the screen. So that is why my exam day prediction number 2 is all about the risk management, and then potentially linking it into a TARA model and maybe getting some other things on the exam day. Now, exam prediction number 3 is all about the Poppet model on here. And you think to yourself, oh gosh, James, that sounds a bit bespoke on there. Well, let me put it on the screen for you on the right hand side. You can see I've put some of the other models on there for you to read if you've got the notes. I'm not saying that some of the others won't come up. It's just these are the ones I sort of fancy and I think they might go for it. So the Poppet model, the reason why I've picked it is it's a model possibly here that could be used as it's a framework that helps businesses to analyze and improve their processes and structures. Quite a lot what we're given in the pre-C materials. People side, we're given about that staff turnover. That is on page 13. I'll just put it on the actual slide on the slides now on here, so you can see 39% employee turnover in 2005. So plenty to talk about from a people perspective. Organisation wise, again, we've been talking about the hotel industry. There are lots of things in terms of how it actually operates on there, the processes, that's the other P on there, along with information and technology. We're given lots of information about the technology aspects, about having an app on there. There are different information systems, plenty of things to actually increase the guest experience and to give them the best possible time when they come to some of the hotels. And the reason why we have that on there is Levwell really has that unique selling point that all of their hotels are different, and that's what the actual guests seem to like, and that's where we're having really good successful rates on here in terms of occupation rates. Now, I know it says on here, and you think to yourself, well, the occupation rate was 77%. Well, you kind of go to yourself, well, okay, there's still 23% of the rooms that still need filling. But this is a key bit. go up to page 7 on your notes. It's only one little line, but it could link into the Poppet model and other points that you could use actually on the exam day. And it's in KPI number 1. I'll put my mouse on it now. An annual average occupancy rate above 70% is actually considered good for hotels in Estland. So if we look at it in that remit, well, we've got Levwell then is well above the 70%, doing really, really well, and has been consistently over 70% for the last 5 years. So that's where for the Poppet model, I think you've got a lot to talk about. You can link it into the different stakeholder groups as well. You can see that on page 11. We've been given everything from the employees to the suppliers, information systems. So definitely why I've got it down as my exam day prediction number 3. Now, exam day prediction number 4, very official this one. I've got it down as James's exam hunches on here. What do I sort of fancy coming up in a variety of different areas based on the pre-seen materials where I think they could elaborate more or have a more specific question? Well, number 1, definitely on page 12, linking into the actual mission and values, is a sort of ethics style values kind of question. They refer to the guests and especially the employees, that you can see on there that we take care of our staff and we take care of our guests. Fantastic on there. But the key word is every. I would have every guest every time they visit. They want to provide an exceptional experience. But that's where you go to yourself, well, when we've got such a high staff turnover, is that going to be possible? Are there going to be other ethical things that could come up that we could refer back to the pre-seen materials on there? And a bit like, well, we've still got the Poppet model on there with the framework linking back to what we talked about before. We've been told about that the current setup of the organisation and structure, this is where I think some of the models or theories could be applied. You can come back up here to some of the other details about the industry and how it's successful. We're given about the structure, that it's either through chains or being an independent, but it's the business models up at the top that we actually have that Levwell Plc is confirmed as being an owner managed organisation, but could there be an opportunity in there to become a franchise? Could that be a structure that they may be willing to actually change? And linking it into the economic climate on there as to keeping them afloat, especially from a cash flow position. So that sort of ethics style question, something to do with the staff and linking it into that bit of financial information. I also fancy something to do with sustainability or ESG to come up, involving either the environment, sustainability, or governance. The reason why I say that is if we have a look at the director setup, so this is within the actual overview of the company, you can see in the board structure, we're not given really anything in terms of sustainability, the environment, also in terms of the risk. It's not actually included in there in the breakdown that we have on the risk register. So again, something that I think a student who has read into this a lot will pick up on, especially if it got tested. And the other hunch why I think it might come up is if you go up to page 5, that in the industry challenges, you can see on the left hand side now, they've actually put a whole section in terms of sustainability, giving us some hints about carbon footprint on there, the guests actually making decisions if they want to stay based on if they're actually encouraging recycling on there, and then they get onto environmental concerns. So they touch on it, but then we don't have anyone accountable, and it's not included as a KPI as well for your notes, a key thing to get down. The last sort of hunch is a thing that I think they're going to throw at you on the exam day, because I've looked through so many of these pre-seen material notes over the years, is usually we get given a load of names and they really want you to be specific on the exam day, referring to a particular individual or they're in charge of a particular area. Well, this is where, if we have a look at the directors that you can see on here for the broad structure, we are not given a single name on there for any of the individuals. The other key thing for you to get down is we're usually given some of the competitor names or anything on those lines. The bits highlighted on the screen now in green, Beston, Travelwise, Vacont, Yelton and Hallion, are the only company names given within the whole pre-seen materials. So I think either some of those are going to be in a requirement on the exam day to test a student if they've read the pre-seen materials thoroughly enough, or there will be opportunity for you to apply those, especially in terms of the actual breakdown and the amount that these are the 5 largest hotel chains in Estland on there. So again, little things like that. I just go, they've only mentioned it in one area, but then as a result of it, we're not given too much on there. So like I touched on before, there was no KPI for ESG, definitely something that could be referred to on there as another particular area. We've also been given a lot of breakdown as to the key activities of a hotel. These are the sort of things that I think could be definitely applied along with the different stakeholder groups that you can see on the left-hand side. And the last one, as we're going through, there is one mention of an actual IT system on there and an IT manager. That's the key thing on there. So we're given that there is an IT manager within the organization. However, we don't actually have anyone accountable for this within the board of directors. So feel free to get that down. I'm having a quick scan through there because it's just come to the top of my head as to that was another good final point. So you can see on the board structure, nothing to do with sort of IT or anything in terms of those lines on there. Maybe the operations officer could deal with this on there, but in terms of an area, because there's been so many things in terms of technology mentioned within the actual pre-seed materials, I think something involving technology or AI or something on those lines that you could actually have a look at on there could be an actual area. So you can see on here, actually I've got it on page 11. Last thing before we wrap up for this video, go down to page 11. That is where the small detail is in terms of the IT manager. So if you've actually got the notes, you'll be able to find it on here. So what we're looking for is that we've actually got playing a particular role within the organization. Where is it on there? Here you go. So under information systems, Levwell's central IT department is headed by the IT manager responsible for maintaining and upgrading the information systems. That is the only place that we're told about that individual, and we're not also given a name. So make sure you get down IT manager. They do have one, not included in the board structure though. It'll be interesting to see how that all fits in. So those are my hunches for my exam day prediction number 4, along with all the other notes that you can see on the screen there. Well, as I said, if you'd like a copy of my full exclusive notes, click the link in the description below, along with checking out those Astranti courses, mock papers that are designed and applied on the Levwell Plc. They are definitely going to help you to get the 50 plus because you'll be doing mock examinations based on the actual pre-seen materials on there. Also, it'd be great if you could like this video. It really helps with helping more SBL students find the videos. So be sure to subscribe because I'll be putting more onto the channel. So I'll see you on the other side now for another video. So thank you very much.